guy no-show me recently, and he was very apologetic, and I was just like, man, don't even bother. I was like, I can guarantee I'm busier than you. You don't waste my fucking time. I said, you let me know. Like, if you're not going to make it after trying to schedule 2, 3 times, you let me know. I said, just because I'm young that doesn't mean that you can fucking waste my time. So I'm having none of it. But the only reason I did that was because, yo, this is the funniest shit. So, and we haven't even introed yo, welcome to episode 40 of the Put On podcast. It's Cal. I'm here with Derek. We've been rolling this for 40 episodes. This is going to be a little different today, getting into all things ourselves and life. But yo, I was just telling you a story that I'm going to continue.
Okay.
And the story is, this was like a couple summers ago. Me and a couple of my boys get to go to Mykonos, right? And my
Right.
one buddy who I grew up with in Dubai, name's Omar, was already in Mykonos with his brother. And he texts us and he's like, guys, you're flying in today. I've secured a driver for the week. Like, I've got a driver. We're plugged in. Got a guy to fucking chauffeur us around. That'll be good. And so, whatever, we get picked up. We go to the hotel. He's at the hotel. We're like, maybe it's a couple hours, we're chilling by the pool, whatever. He's like, I'll tell Angelo, the driver, to pick us up for 9 to go downtown, grab dinner, go to the club, whatever. And so, text Angelo, whatever. 9 o'clock rolls by. Angelo's not at the front. Kind of waiting 5-10 minutes. Angelo probably pulled up like right around 9:15, maybe. Angelo again is the driver, and we never met him. The three of us. Omar had been driving with him for like just that day. He gets in the front of the car. We all get in the back. He like looks back at us, just like he's kind of like, you guys good to go, and he looks at Angelo, and he's like, Angelo, what time is it? And Angelo goes, 9:13. He's like, what time did I say to be here? Like, and again, this is like the first thing they say. And he's like, you asked me to come for 9. And Omar's like, okay, I'm going to ask you again, what time is it? And he's like, 9:13. And he's like, okay, so when I say 9, I don't mean 9:15. I don't mean 9:10. I don't mean 9:01. I mean fucking 9 o'clock. So if
Oh
I'm
my
going to tell you
God.
to come at 9, you fucking show up at 9. Don't fucking waste time. And bro, he goes on like this 5 minute, like, yo, 9 o'clock. And bro, he wasn't like that late. There was obviously some traffic, like whatever. It wasn't the correct. I've waited way longer for drivers, cabs, whatever. And bro, like, he goes off on this guy, Angelo, for 10-15 minutes. He's like, 9 o'clock means fucking 9 o'clock. And I was just like, that inspired me. I was like, yeah, no one's wasting my fucking time. This guy's the man for doing it in front of all of us. And my buddies were like, first introduction to Omar, and they were like, yo, this guy is fucking crazy. And
Sounds like a mob boss the way, you're talking about him in that way. But I get it. I get that. It's disrespectful, right? Like, you want time is to be valued. Like, we all know, like, what?
that's actually something that I think we can get into on a higher level here, is from the standpoint of like, okay, you just said it's disrespectful. I agree 100%. You probably have friends who, if you say, hey, we're meeting here at 7, like they're going to be there 7:15, 7:30. I feel like we all have friends like that. What is your stance on someone like that?
On someone that's late?
Just always. Do you think that they just don't value your time? Like, there's probably, if you're friends, there's probably respect, but it's like, what are we doing?
It's, this is what I think it's relatable in a way because I'm not the most like
For sure, me neither.
punctual person, okay? But when it comes to people that are strangers, like let's say it's a work call or people I don't know, like in those instances, I am on time. Like if it's like a friend and like there's some wiggle room, then like whatever. It's not the biggest deal. I get really mad sometimes at my mom. She's really, really bad with time management. And like she's like so late. And I have no patience for it. And so yeah, but I guess it's very much like context dependent, right? Like it depends on what the situation is. If it's like something having to do with work, I have very little patience for it, If it's something that's like more like with your friends, a little bit more leeway.
I do feel like, especially with the work, depends where you're at in your career, and there's factors, but it's almost the feeling I get when someone just rolls through 5, 10 minutes late. You've kind of been waiting, whatever. Is not in every scenario, but in a bunch. It's like they feel as though their time is more valuable and they're kind of better. Like it's like you're running on their schedule versus running on. There's are people like that, and that's just
Yeah,
one of those things where, again, it's
it's
like,
aggravating.
yeah, it's like, man, what are we doing? You don't think we're all important? Like, what are
I
we
know.
doing?
But again, like I'm one of those people sometimes too, because like I have like OCD. I'm like running out of the house and then I'm like, wait, I need to like fill my coffee up. And then I'm like, wait, I need to like take a piss. And then I'm like, wait. And then next thing I know, I'm like running behind and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why did I wait to the last second to do all this shit? And so I can be a little bit understanding because I do it myself. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. And and like on a related note, the people that don't like respond to emails or like that don't respond to a text message. Like there's never been a text message or an email that was sent to me that I didn't respond to at some point. Especially like when there's a relationship there. Like, okay, if I'm reaching out cold to somebody,
Yeah, and they don't know you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's just like, I don't know. I just think a lot of people, we talked about this before, like there's like a lack of, common courtesy or decency that like I, it's hard for me to stand for. Anyways, it's funny how you started this pod. Like I don't even know how we're cutting the pod, but Mike was supposed to be on. He's MIA, right? Completely
Yeah.
MIA. We have no idea. We talked about recording at 1:30. It's like 2 o'clock and he's missing. Um
So, yo,
and
we're
yeah.
sending out a rescue team from Mike. If anyone has seen Mike Press in the what area are you guys in? The Long
Um
Island area?
he's not in Long Island. He's out in let's just say the tri-state area.
Westchester.
Yeah, he's more towards like Westchester, Mount
I just pulled
Vernon.
that out of my fucking ass. But
It's kind of in that area. I
so
hope
yeah,
he's okay,
go
you
find
know.
Mike.
Yeah. But just to take the step back, bro, this is our 40th episode. Um
Take a step back. Let's take so many steps back.
let's take a lot of steps
40
back.
steps back.
40th episode. I'm 40 years old. I'm at so many crossroads in my life. This is like an episode where we wanted to just kind of like talk about where we're at in life and some reflections and whatnot. And I've had a terrible fucking day. I was telling you this a little bit before before I got on here. Um, because just like I woke up and my kids were like being a little bit rambunctious, but my oldest Milo, I've been having like real problems with lately. And I have actually a lot of funny things about my kids lately. I feel like I'll give you a couple of examples. Okay.
Does the example include the birthday card or no?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, which one should I start with? Like my younger son who's like
That wish
having a moment, huh?
the wish list, the birthday wish list.
So Freddie, my 6 year old, it's like the last month and a half he's just been on fire. He's just at like such a funny age where the things that matter to him are really funny and everything that happens and that he does. You're talking about the birthday wish list is it's like this he really loves to write things down. And so he wrote down his birthday wish list and I posted it on my Instagram stories and you saw it the other day and it was hilarious, like he was like, wants all these like wrestling things. He wrote like he wanted a Hulk Hogan, like one word, like written in the funniest way, like pillow. And he wanted a gift card. And then underneath it, he wrote Denny's gift card, and then underneath it, he wrote another Denny's gift card. And it's just like a hilarious wish list. He wanted a shirt that said "Watch your ankles" because he saw some kid wearing it and thought it was cool. And so the next day he just made his own shirt. He just took a white shirt and he just drew it on like
Oh, really?
in marker, yeah, which was really funny. And so like there's that. There's the wish list, right? Then there was like a 3-day stretch where it was St. Patrick's Day. And I feel like I told you a little bit about this too, where
Leprechaun?
like he went leprechaun crazy.
Yeah, yeah, you
And
did.
like was trying to catch a leprechaun in the house. He was setting up traps all over the house. There was shit all over. I came home and there was fucking things all over the floor, like because he was trying to catch a leprechaun. I was just like, Freddie, like you got to clean this stuff up. And and then like like and then he forgot to do it on St. Patrick's Day. So the next day, like on or the night before, and so then the next day we like let him do it, and we like got him some stuff that we like put in there. So the next day, and we left a note that was saying like good try, but like
Oh,
you can't catch me. And there was like chocolate coins and a little stuffed animal. He was so pumped. He was standing at the side of my bed when I woke up, and he was literally like, Dad, do you know that leprechauns can be like 6 feet tall? It was just nonstop leprechauns. I was like, Freddie, just let me like wake up. Like, it was nonstop leprechauns. So that was funny. He wants to wrestle me at all moments of the day. And like, he's getting to an age where like, he's like trying to punch me in the face and it hurts, like I have to protect myself. And he got the lead in the play, his class play the other day as the troll, right? Like
he's the lead troll.
basically it's some play where it's like all these different like characters from storybooks that are like the bad guys, but they
Yeah,
all want to become good. And so he got like the troll, and he has this like song that he sings about not wanting to be a bully anymore, and he's practicing it, and it's like just so fucking cute and like funny. And the last thing that like about him that is just interesting is just like, so Milo got sick the other day, and like I felt so bad for him. And so like we got him like a box of cards, and we were opening them. And
sports cards.
yeah, sports cards. And so like Milo promised that he was going to give some cards to Freddie. First pack he opened up was he got Jaden Daniels rookie card. And
Oh
we
shit!
were like, yeah, and it was awesome. Like a patch, like a really sick card. He was so mad, Freddie, like so jealous. And and I'm like, dude, like you have to be happy for your brother. He's like, it's not fair. And I'm like, well, he's gonna give you cards. And I'm like, we're not gonna open up any more packs. He's like, just open them up. I'm like, well, you're gonna be mad if you get something good. It's like there's no winning in this situation. So he's just like such a character right now. And then with Milo, my oldest son, I've had such trials and tribulations with him over the past like 2 weeks. I coach his basketball team in this like intramural league, and it was like one of the best coaching experiences I've ever had.
Yeah,
And then we had the playoffs coming up, and like 2 or 3 days beforehand, he got the flu.
flu
And I'm
game.
like, yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah,
shit. I'm pumping him like full of electrolytes. I'm like trying to like do everything I can to just like get him like ready and healthy.
yeah.
The day of the game, he woke up with a fever. And then I'm fighting with my wife, like let's just pump him full of Motrin. She's like, I'm not letting him play. She wouldn't let him out the door, and we lost. And it was just like I
Did
felt
you
bad for
coach?
him.
You were
Huh?
coaching. You were coaching
I was
without the game.
coaching. I was coaching. And like I didn't tell anybody on the team. I showed up and I'm like, Milo's sick. And everybody was like, oh shit. Like we need him. Like he's the best player on the team. And we lost in like a really close game. They played great. So I felt I was so bummed out. Felt so like bad for him and the team. And it's crazy how much it affects me and how much it impacts me. But like, and then he made a travel team that's like a really good travel team. And And last night I took him to like a practice. It's like his third practice. He's got a tournament this weekend,
Yeah.
and the coach wasn't there, so there was a filling coach, and it was just like a bad practice. Like he was so like timid, and like you could tell like he was scared out there. And like it's crazy when you become a dad and you have a kid, and there's such different like scenarios. Like all of a sudden he's the best on this one team, and then he's on this other team and he's like the eighth or ninth man, and
Yeah.
like and it's tough watching your kid like, and they're like not passing him the ball because they haven't gotten used to him. And he keeps looking over to me, and he's like so like sad, and I'm like fuck, like.
Yeah.
So with the kids, man, it's there's so much shit. Like, oh, the other funny thing I wanted to tell you about him is that, so like, we buy him shit. He's got jackets, he's got clothes, he's got all this stuff. He The other day, like, he lost his winter coat, and I'm like, where is your winter coat? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like so, and me and my wife are like just pissed off. Like you just like left it somewhere. Like you're irresponsible. And so I'm having to like retrace his steps of like where he is and where, I'm like, can't figure it out. Then he lost his sweatshirt. I'm like, bro, where is your sweatshirt? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, you can't just like take off your sweatshirt and then just like leave it. So like I call up the school. I like go to the lost and found. Luckily, we find his sweatshirt. It's in the lost and found.
Okay.
I call up the gym where he had basketball practice. I'm like, by any chance, did you find a jacket? They're like, we have a jacket.
Oh shit.
Thank God we found it. We go to basketball practice like a couple days later. Can't find his basketball sneakers. I'm like, bro, are you serious? Where are your basketball sneakers? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what? We're going to football game. And I'm like, let's go. He's like, I can't find my cleats. I'm like, I am literally going to kill you, dude. Like, I swear I'm never buying you anything again. I'm like trying to retrace his steps. Like, where was he? Whatever. Finally, I'm like, I call the league. I'm like, by any chance, did you find a bag with a, they're like, we'll check the lost and found. They call me a couple of days later. They're like, we found your bag. In the bag are his basketball sneakers and his cleats.
Oh my God.
Bro, having kids, it is like, I feel like Danny Tanner from Full House. Maybe that's like you don't even watch Full House, but
I do
like
not.
he was just like, there's all these life lessons and all this stuff. I feel like I'm a shitty Danny Tanner. Like I can't control my anger sometimes. I lost it on him this morning because he like was too rough with his brother. And it's a lot to deal with. And that's just on top of all the other that I haven't even mentioned. It's like having kids, man, is it's a full-time fucking job. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems that way. I mean, it would you say though you're in a tough age gap between like where they're at right now from an age perspective, like, is just harder than where they'll be at 5 years from now, hopefully?
I think it's all relative. Like I think the problems just become different problems.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
like it's tough right now, but like was it tougher than when they were really young and I couldn't leave them alone like for a second? Um I would say that was a little bit tougher, right? Like
Yeah.
now like they can be doing their own thing. I don't even have to supervise them, right? There are times where like I could leave them home for a couple minutes without even being there because I know nothing's going to go like terribly wrong. But now it's like a whole other set of issues. And my oldest son, Milo, is like he's getting to an age now where his friends are all getting cell phones.
Yeah.
That's a fucking problem. He's addicted to his iPad. They're both addicted to their iPads, and it makes them cranky. And like we have to limit that time. Yo, they don't know how to be bored. They're literally bored if they're not like entertained or stimulated for a fucking minute. Like,
Which is so different, I feel like, to today's generation who's growing up in, I obviously grew up in it as well, but with phones and iPads and all these things versus like someone like you, potentially, again, don't want to outdate you, but you had to go outside and play and do shit and all these things. Now it's like I can pick up my phone or wake up, I go right on my phone, right on my computer, and you
Yeah.
constant because we're in an overstimulated society. I feel like, it's so tough to be a kid growing up because it's like they're not going outside and playing. Sports isn't happening all the time. Like when they're at school, they're on their iPads and phones too. It's just too much, man. Yeah, I
It's a
could.
huge problem. It's a huge back in the day, and like I tried to explain this to them back in the day, there were times where I would just be sitting there bored. Like, and there was nothing I could fucking do. And I would have to entertain myself. And yeah, that's why we would go out, we would figure it out, we'd get in trouble, we would do dumb things, but like these kids, this next generation, even your generation, bro, to some extent my generation too, because like I'm addicted to my cell phone, I'm addicted to like technology. I uh, i've become so dependent on ChatGPT. It's crazy. It's crazy, you know and I think like when the experts or like the brightest minds and the scientists are talking about that, AI is going to change things so dramatically and we're not ready for it. That's kind of how I feel, is like we're not we're not capable of this. We're not like, this technology is too, I don't know what the right word for it is, but it's like we're still animals. Like at the
Yeah,
end of the day, we are still animals, and now we have such advanced technology that of course we're going to become completely dependent on it, and it's going to impact us emotionally and mentally and psychologically. And for our kids, it's going to do that. And it's even worse because like they don't even have the perspective of
they won't know
what it was
anything
like
else.
before it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in an ideal world, you're in a position where you don't become codependent, but that doesn't seem like we're trending that way. I mean, yeah, ChatGPT wasn't even a thing, what, 3 years ago? And
3 years ago, it wasn't a, is
it's been around for
ChatGPT.
2 years, I'd say, like 2025. I was using it maybe 2 years, 2023, end of 23,
Uh-huh.
early 24. But
That's yeah.
but even then, if I had ChatGPT when I was in university, which was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it would be a completely different ball game. I wouldn't have done shit. I still wasn't doing anything. But it's just, yeah.
It's it's making us, don't do you feel like it's making us dumber?
Elaborate on that.
Okay, so this morning I had to send an email, and like it was like this contextual circumstance, okay? The circumstance being that somebody hadn't responded to my email about a call that I was getting on, that I need to get on.
Which they
And
they
like,
weren't there, right?
right. So they didn't respond like a couple of days earlier about a call. And so the call was coming up and I was like, I didn't know, like, should I follow up? Like what should I say? I could have just said like, are we still doing this call? Whatever. But instead, like, I was just like, as I was writing the email, I'm like, let me just go to ChatGPT and give the context. And the context being like, hey, I have this call set up. I reached out a couple of days earlier. I haven't gotten a response. Now, like, the call's about to start. Convey that, like, so knowing this information, just like put together a short, polite email of like what I should say. Cause I don't fucking know. Cause like you're gonna come up with something better than me trying to figure it out on the spot of like I'm like, I can't figure it out. Or it's because I'm dependent on you already, Chat GPT. So just
See, that's probably where you and I differ though, is especially for the emails and a few of the other pieces. Sure, ChatGPT can write something up and I've done it in the past, but I find if I was in that situation, what I write is very unique to myself and humanized versus I still find if you put that in ChatGPT, even if you give them all the context in the world, grammar's great for sure, amazing. My grammar's not as good as ChatGPT's, but it's not, the human element lacks in some of the like some of the um, emails
Agreed.
and or other things that it spits back.
And I should have mentioned. So it spits that out. I don't just copy paste it and
Yeah, then
throw it
you're
in the
like,
email.
you
Then
know,
I'm like,
okay,
okay, that part makes sense. This part doesn't. Let me
yeah,
change
yeah,
it
yeah,
so it fits my voice. But still, it's like anything that I come to a dead end at, or that I'm just like stumped at, then I take it there, you know?
for sure.
And it's amazing. It's super convenient. Like there's times where, and I've talked about where like it's great for troubleshooting. It's great for like a recipe or like something simple. Maybe I mentioned this the other day where it's like I wanted to make hard boiled eggs, and I realized like I don't know if I've ever made hard boiled eggs before, and I was just like, just tell me how to make hard boiled eggs, and it's just like here, and it's just like, wow, this is way fucking easier than I ever realized, and I'm like, I can't even believe that it took me 40 years to like not to just fucking put eggs in a pot and just boil it and then just
Yeah,
run it under hot water, like
yeah,
what.
yeah, yeah. Would you say it's replaced Google for you?
Definitely, definitely.
I don't
um
use Google anymore. Anything I got to look up, it's going straight in ChatGPT.
yeah. Well, it's also different because it's like Google's just going to take you to, well, Google has some AI. I still use Google. Let me
Google does have AI, but yeah, I feel like what ChatGPT is doing to Google's business is fucking significant.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I don't. Yeah, I know a bunch of people like that don't use Google. I mean, yo, but there's so many things that, I mean, man, I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit, but in terms of startups and a couple of things that I'm doing. And I feel like at all times I have an assistant who is super knowledgeable in whatever field I need them to be knowledgeable in. And so you prompt it like, hey, act as my legal counsel in Alberta, Canada, and let me know what I can and can't do with this advertising campaign on alcohol. And then it lists out, okay, here are the 10 things you can do, here are the 10 you can. And then I'm like, okay, so is this okay? It's like, yes. Like, and there's just so many, I'm going to build business with ChatGPT as my right hand, which wasn't a thing, again, 4 years ago, whatever the timeline is. So that is fucking crazy to be able
It
to have
is.
anything at your fingertips.
The use cases are just like unlimited. And I think me and you are both in like this interesting place where we're trying to like start businesses, or like we have these, you're further along right now than I am, but I've been working on something kind of like as a project, and it's been so helpful. And like I used it yesterday in this way where it was like I wanted legal advice, right? And like
Yeah,
I'm looking into trademarks, and I'm looking into like incorporation of a business, and so I spoke to a lawyer, and she sent me this email, and it's just like I'm reading it, I'm like, what the like it's like it's hard for me to just read this like email she sent me with all this. I'm just like, what am I doing? Copy, paste, summarize this email, right?
yeah,
Okay, easy, boom. Or it's like I'm trying to research this thing about like the idea that I have is like around like sports and like some like youth sports stuff, and I'm just like looking at like wondering to myself like how do these like leagues like make money, or like do they make money? And I'm like, what am I doing? Like just ask ChatGPT, and then it's like telling me like exactly, and then I'm like asking about specific leagues like that are local, and it's
yeah,
telling me like really helpful information. And then it's like, should I, and then it's making suggestions like, do you want me to like provide like an example? I'm like, yeah. It's like I'm having a conversation. And that like next stage of chat gpt, what's that called,
yeah,
agentic
yeah,
AI,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
where it's like
crazy.
gonna task, like it's gonna do tasks.
Tasks. Yeah, because there's the different models now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The one thing that I feel like I'm always a little bit skeptical about is like it's so amazing, but like I'll see a video on TikTok where a guy will be like, you know, put together a plan so that I can bring in $1 million in revenue in 6 months,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like spitting out something, and then it's like, all right, now tell me, and it's like, is that actually real? Like, can AI like is it really gonna fucking figure out like a way that you're gonna make this much money? Like
I mean,
hypothetically, maybe, but like it's also, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's a zero sum game, but like, have there been examples of people that have really used it to just like make a really successful business? Like, have you heard of that? Have you heard of examples like that? You know?
the thing that first comes to mind for me is I know a bunch of different people who are making, 20 to 30 grand a month, which is a successful business if it's just from AI generated content. So you can use ChatGPT and or other platforms to generate content. But like from what you're saying, I, it all comes down. I mean,
Wait,
it's.
wait, wait, wait. 20 to 30,000 a month by explain that. Tell me more.
I mean, for example, marketing agencies would come up with different content schemes. I mean, you know how that works. But now what individuals do is just instead of having like a full team to run and promote different ads, content, all this, individuals, and I know a couple of them, just use AI to generate images, videos, other things to run ad campaigns and different promotions for traditional brands. And so, obviously, there's still a little bit of work in terms of securing their partners. But at that point, they're really only scheduling posts. They're not doing anything from an actual content generation standpoint, leveraging AI, spending a little bit of time, one man band, that 20 to 30K is in pocket. Um, that's one
Okay,
use
so
case.
here's my question to you. Okay, we're talking about we talked real briefly about agentic AI. That's what it's called, right? Where the task like oriented stuff, right?
It's, I mean, it's supposed to be, yeah, with scheduled tasks. It's mine's in beta. It's not
Okay,
open yet.
all right. So it's not like fully up and running yet, but like then is there a scenario you think at some point, however long from now, where like I can put a prompt into a chat GPT? Again, this might be a couple of years away, might be whatever. Where like there's going to be a day where I'm like, put together a 5 million a year revenue generating business, um, or like options and a plan, a business plan, whatever. And it's just like, okay, spit something out. And then it's just like, okay, now fucking execute it. Like fucking do it. Like build the
And,
fucking
and
landing page, make the products, list them, make my website, set it up on Shopify, set up the distribution. Like, I don't want to fucking do it. If this is what you're capable of in the most pie in the sky scenario, like, can it just fucking run the business and make the business and do everything? Like, isn't
situational.
that kind of like
I've done that. I have had ChatGPT create 3 Shopify stores for me and A/B test different products against other ones. The and it's actually driven traffic to website. Like, so I give them, I say, this is the domain. I say, create the site. I then manually still have to plug in the site because it can't get into my Shopify login. And then I say, run these ads, and it does, and it drives traffic. But
how does it run the ads?
it runs that I give them, like I say my account is set up with $50 of funding or whatever, and then I give it access, and it's then again, which is sketch. So I was like, okay, I'm only gonna give it access to this random account that I have just to try it, and I didn't have any payment loops in or anything. I was just like, can it drive traffic? And I had 500 website visitors in a week. So it can do things, but there's still a gap between.
But isn't that the whole point of it, the agentic AI? Like that at some point it'll just do
it,
it for you.
that's what I'm saying. To answer your question, AI agents will be able to run e-com businesses purely by themselves.
Like for Fairway, right? Are you Here's another question I have about it. For Fairway, are you using it like I have like my own custom folders for different things,
Yeah, me
for
too. I do as
work,
well.
for projects, whatever. You do that?
I have a custom folder for Fairway and other projects. Yeah,
Do you share confidential information within ChatGPT for Fairway?
I do because I own the trademarks. I like legally own all the trademarks, and I own every single, like, I obviously have all the socials. I own the branding.
But what
So
about the ideas? What about the different like ideas that you have for it? Because sometimes like I have this project, I'm just feeding information into it about like this is the idea, and now it knows the idea, and this is like, and then I'm just like kind of like free flow, kind of like feeding it because I want strategy. You
yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
do
I
you ever
mean,
feel like it can take that and give it to somebody else?
so I mean, we've done half baked ideas for 40 episodes. You're an ideas guy. I have a lot of ideas as well. I've been throwing ideas at ChatGPT, asking them if they're good ideas or not for years now. I've never been concerned about it taking any of my ideas and spinning it out, because at the end of the day, even with Fairway it's all about execution. So unless it's some groundbreaking that no one's done, which there's people doing all sorts of different things, I'm never concerned about going to ChatGPT and saying, "Hey, look, this is my idea. Tell me if I'm bang on. Tell me if I'm missing anything." And it'll normally be like, "Yo, that's great. It's super exciting." Or it'll be like, "Yo, did you think about this?" And again, I have someone to bounce ideas off of if I can't always have a conversation. And man, at the end of the day, like, what I'm doing with this specifically is it's all about brand. It's a marketing play. So
Right.
sure, someone else could have a similar idea and come in and do it, but I own the brand. I have the trademarks. I own the idea. I own my recipe. I own all of, and so at the end of the day, what's going to make it big or not is my execution and who I can bring in, not ChatGPT saying, "Yo, here's how." Like, yeah,
Technical question for you on the trademarks. You're saying you own all the trademarks. I
yeah.
just had a trademark discussion. When did you apply for those trademarks? I thought it's like a 9 month. I thought it's like a long process to get
It,
your shit done.
potentially different in the US, Canada. I own, like, where we're set up, so I own the Canadian trademarks. I applied 3 months ago. Took 2 months.
Hmm. Interesting.
But the trademarks are like specific to, I I went two areas of trademarks, so like, no one else can be Fairway Co. and do anything in the beverage space and or consumer packaged goods. No one can do apparel. No one, but they're like, I didn't, because I don't know how it works in the U.S., but it's a cost every class of trademark you get, and I
Yeah.
didn't need to encompass every class, obviously. So I went uber specific, and then I kept hitting the government up like, "Yo, I'm launching this in April. Like, where we at with trademarks? Where we at with
I wonder
trademarks?"
if you're going to run into an issue in America because I told you there's a supermarket chain called Fairway, which, by the way, went out of
Yeah,
business by me. I don't know if they're still in business like nationally, but
I checked the trademarks in the U.S. Fairway Co. Like, our company is Fairway Co.
yeah.
And we have, yeah, I have a business in Wyoming, is where my U.S. entity set up, and I'm working with a lawyer over there. But yeah, I'm close to securing the trademarks. And for what I want to do from a, again, consumer packaged goods standpoint, there's no issue. There's no one who's applied for Fairway Co. So yeah, this is Fairway Company, not just Fairway.
Hmm. Um, can I ask you a completely random question that has nothing to do with anything we're talking about right now?
Sure.
What do you think about the LeBron Stephen A beef?
That is fucking random. Um, I think LeBron is in the wrong. I
You
think that,
do.
yeah, I mean, Stephen A is a media personality who is going to talk about whatever the fuck he talks about, has built
True.
his career off being controversial and all these things. I get it. As a dad, you obviously want to protect your son. I, I didn't see anything that Stephen A said that was so outlandish or ridiculous. Obviously, I think he said way worse about certain people. And so for LeBron to kind of like, what I saw was, and now LeBron's calling out Brian Windhorst, who, like LeBron said in the past, no one knows him like Brian knows him. Like he said all this shit. I don't know, man.
He's thin. He's thin skinned. It seems right. Like he's
For
like
sure.
very, and but he's like very sensitive to the media. Like he's paying attention to it because a lot of people like they'll say like for most athletes you kind of have to just ignore it all, right? But it seems like he's like watching the shows and like or at least getting
He probably
the
has a team
feedback
who
from
is.
other people. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely has a team who's paying attention. And I mean, he took a few days off this year, which he normally does, and just went like ghost, right? When all the
Yeah.
Diddy shit was going down. And I mean, LeBron's on the record saying no party like a Diddy party. I think that LeBron has a massive team of individuals who are, trying to make sure that he comes out of his career in a positive light.
You say LeBron is in the wrong, and I kind of agree with you. But I mean, what Stephen A said,
What
what
did
was
he,
it,
what
yesterday?
exactly did he? No, not yet. But what did he say originally?
Originally, I think he was just mocking Bronny. Like on all like anytime he come up, like he would just like he was kind of just talking about the nepotism of it
Uh,
all, or that he's just, like that
let's
kind
be
of thing.
real. Bronny would not be Bronny when he the first day of the league and he was on the roster on the Lakers. If he's not LeBron's son, he's not in the league.
Of course, but when you're a dad and somebody's talking shit about your kid, of course you're going to feel some sort of way about it, right? Like it doesn't matter if it's nepotism. It's like Bronny for all intents and purposes, it seems like Bronny's a good kid, and like he's like a sweet innocent kid. Like he uh, did he ask for all this attention? Did he ask to like be put in this position? I think it's probably a little bit of him and a little bit of LeBron, but like so I don't know. I just think it's a little bit like I could see LeBron's, I could see where he's coming from when you have this older guy in Stephen A. Smith who's on his fucking high horse talking all this shit. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith, bro, you're not a fucking like Bronny's 10 times the fucking basketball player you ever were, right? Which is another thing that's always kind of interesting is like somebody who's hypercritical about a
Who
professional athlete,
wasn't great.
yeah, who wasn't great, or like you'll see like these guys, they're like these I'm trying to think of like Doug Gottlieb, or like who's the guy, the former quarterback that's now like there's a lot of like backup quarterbacks, like third string quarterbacks that end up being commentators, and then they're so critical. And it's like, dude, you were the fucking third string quarterback. You were terrible. You were like one of the fucking worst quarterbacks in the league. And now you're trashing a guy that's 10 times better than you ever were. And so that's like always an interesting element to me too. But yesterday, Stephen, you saw what he said, right?
He said he would have swung on LeBron if he put a hand on him.
No, the funniest shit that he did, but the funniest shit, he's like, I'm not going to talk about when you didn't show up to Kobe's funeral, and I'm not going to talk about when you didn't show up to D Wade's Hall of Fame, but like he is talking about it. He's like saying
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
he's like like and it's like real fucking personal shit. Like the Kobe accusation is a fucking crazy thing to say, and it came out after that like apparently LeBron was there, but it's just
What
like
what what was like deeper than him not showing up though? What was the accusation?
just like that you well the accusation being that like you claimed to be so close to him and you weren't at his funeral,
Yeah, 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 I got you.
which
I
is like
mean,
a fucking low blow no matter what, whether or not he was there or wasn't there. Like
he said
I
LeBron's a liar. Stephen A
yeah,
said that, which I on the rec I don't disagree.
Yeah, he is a liar. I mean, a
LeCap,
liar. He fabricates things. He fucking like
it,
there's a big part of LeBron that's like disingenuine to
yeah.
say the least.
I mean, you see all the memes where he's reading the book and they're like, "Yo, what's it?" He's like, "Ah, I'm only a couple page in, but it's good." Or he's on
Right.
different shows where,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's
that's
always
my
been
favorite player. That's my favorite player. And it's like, oh
right.
yeah, where does
Exactly.
he play? He's like, uh, I mean, yo, yeah, he's a fucking capper.
Yeah, they all do that. They all do that, and he does it maybe more so than like I've
Most.
always had a thing with LeBron too. It rubbed me maybe because I felt some type of way after he did the decision, and like it was like he was going to go to New York, and I just hated that. Like I hated that he. You could tell how egotistical he is that he did that. Like that he made this whole fucking pomp and circumstance about this free agency signing, but like that's part of his character, and it doesn't take away from the greatness, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was like a really interesting moment in terms of pop culture because you rarely see an athlete that's like one of the all time greats, right? Have such a public like spat with a
Yeah,
media personality who's also kind of like he's arguably like the LeBron of media in some way, right?
he
Like,
got a massive contract. He's yeah the most out there for sure. Yeah, I would agree.
yeah. So, anyways, I, yeah, I guess I don't know why that came to mind, but yeah,
I mean, on another sort of tip, I watched the first like 4 episodes of the Court of Gold, and you know, again, when they're chilling with Obama or LeBron's at the opening ceremonies, and he's obviously the flag bearer, so he's in a different. It's funny to see all those guys in the same room and how they act and stuff because all of those guys would be used to being superstars on their team or being the number one guy getting the ball. And I think you made the point about the travel team versus the intramural team being the first best guy versus like the eighth, ninth best guy. In team sports is weird, right? Because even something that so in Alberta there is every 2 years there's like this World Cup. It's called the Mini World Cup. It's only every 2 years. It's like 48 countries. It's like it's 5-on-5 boarded footy, and I'm playing in it, and it started a couple of days ago. We played Brazil, tied our first match, but yo, like there's probably in each stadium it maybe only fits 250 people, and it's packed, like it's full flags, fucking countries. Like I'm playing for Ireland, and it's one of those things where again, when you bring people together from other places, some guys used to be number one guy, some guys, but it's at the end of the day, I think those team players and the guys who can just lose their egos and just fucking like get it done, whether they're the guy or the ninth guy. And I realized that I would still say that I am, a top couple player on this, but there's been teams that I've been on that, I maybe wasn't top two. And yeah, man, I realized like I have an ego when it comes to like sports, and I just like if I'm not top couple, I want to just fucking get better and just be the guy. And it's
it's
tough. I feel like
it's a great point. It's fascinating too because like I mean, it's like when you go to a pickup game or like some game or some team where you're new to the team and like so you're deferring to other people where you
yeah,
wouldn't like
yeah,
otherwise. And like with Court of Gold, it's you have all these alphas, right? That have like been the alphas in every single situation they've played in literally their entire lives. And it must feel very strange and unfamiliar. Like for a guy like Jason Tatum, who's now like having such an incredible career. And I wonder, like, when they look back on his career and I bet you that USA team is like a real turning point, like
when he didn't
it
play.
lights a just because he didn't play. And like sometimes the biggest motivating factors are those types of situations where like you go through the adversity of, wait a second, like I'm so used to everything just coming easy to me, right? But like in a room of all the greats, like maybe I'm not the greatest. And it lit a fire under his ass where he's now like this season when the Knicks played the Celtics. I don't remember Jason Tatum ever fucking dominating us the way he has this like that like he has this season, but everybody kind of has to like fit into their roles and play their positions, right? And like that's such a I just think it's really interesting to watch that and watch how everybody kind of like fits together because look, LeBron's at the end of his career. There was no fucking chance he was going to take, you know, second fiddle, even on the Olympic team, even at the end of his career. Right. And
Yeah,
yeah, he's still great, which is incredible in its
for
own
sure.
right. But like, right, like you're Jason Tatum, you're Halliburton, you're Anthony Edwards, but like when you're on a team with Steph Curry and Durant and LeBron, you're not the first option, second option, third option anymore, right? And like those guys have never experienced that in their entire lives. It's a sacrifice they're making though to be on the gold medal, Olympic team
The craziest thing is that Tatum won a championship right
right
before.
before it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he was at the pinnacle, and then the guy on the team. I thought Brown was better in the playoffs, but he's the number one on the team that won the championship. Goes to the Olympics and is what, the 12th man?
It just goes to show you that in anything in life, it's such like a what have you done lately? Because he
For
he
sure.
wins he wins the championship, but then he shows up to the practices and his shot's not going in. Like he's off a little bit. And I'm sure a part of it had to do with the fact that he was playing later than all of those other guys. Like everybody else was rested and like
Yeah,
recuperated. He went straight from the Olympics right into the USA team. And then he was off. And then it was like
that,
relegated to the bench and he's not playing. And
that is something like that's crazy about sports. Is I mean, I would make the argument that you're only as good as your last game.
yeah,
Unless you're this legacy type player like the LeBron or Messi or whatever it is, Tiger Woods. Like you're only as good as your last performance.
yeah.
Sure, down the line people might remember more, but I mean, when you're a fan of a team and I'm watching these, Chelsea matches or the Oilers play or whatever, if you were shit last game, you need to back it up and perform the next game. And if you're only as good as your last at bat. That's an actual saying. So
That's it, bro. And I try and teach it to my kids, especially my oldest, and like because he'll have like good games, and then the next game he'll come out and it's like he's not even trying, and I'm like, there's no consistency here, and but it's also like vice versa. You have a terrible game, like put that in the past, like new game, like you got to be ready for the next game, and he's just a lot of guys, not just kids, they turn it on and they turn it off. Like the greats, they bring it every single night, and it's really really hard to do that. Even when you're a professional, right? Like those guys are human too. They they're I'm sure they're waking up the same way I'm waking up and having issues with their kids and like kind of like waking up on the wrong side of the bed and maybe they're just not their head's not in the game, and it's such a mental thing, you
it's
know?
same thing in business. Consistency wins. If you can
Yeah.
if you can fucking stack days and
Yeah.
win every single day, you're gonna and again, you at least with what we're talking about and doing and the professional athletes would be the same. At least we're fucking taking swings. And again, if we're have more at bats, it means that the likelihood of us hitting one out of the park is becoming more promising because we're getting more at bats and having that experience. And so, yeah, man, I can't wait to talk on here and be like, yeah, the last at bat was a fucking homer. And I'm sitting here and retired at fucking 30, 35. And
The last thing I'll say on this note is just it's funny, like I feel that in this past year I've been doing more like internal work than I've ever done in my entire life, right? And like reading and like listening and putting things into practice like habits of, ways in which to eliminate the negative self-talk, and ways to get myself in a headspace or like a mindset where I'm positive, and I'm like, doing all these things. And yet I I constantly just fall back into my old ways, and I constantly like stumble, and so, like, I guess the point being is like, it's like a marathon. It's not like you just turn the corner and things are great, and then all of a sudden like you're locked in. And it's like, even for the fucking greats, they stumble, and they have to pick themselves up. And it's like, there's no just like you've made it and now everything is gravy. It's like you have to fucking do it every single day, and you have to remind yourself every day, and you have to fucking motivate yourself every day, and you still might fucking fail and stumble. So
I,
it's a life lesson, man. It's a real life lesson.
I think that's a super good point. I mean, even something that I've been going through is, in selling a new business and selling new product and doing these things. For every yes, you get friggin' 10 no's. And it's
Yeah.
like, when you first start out, you think, hey, this is game changing. Everyone's going to want it. And so when you give the pitch and someone's like, this doesn't make sense for us, or, follow back up in a couple of years, or no, we're not interested. It's kind of like shit. And so
Some people just give up, right? Like
I
right
think
then and there.
it could be very easy. I mean, it would be the easier thing to do, 100%. The easier thing to do is get discouraged, not fucking take swings, work for someone else, make your salary, clock in 9 to 5, and take care of your family, your kids. What? That's the easiest thing. Like, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it, and I'm like, yo, I could easily do that, make six figures, rest of my do. But I'm like, that's not me. But it's like, yeah, man, it's one of those things where if you don't do the work, no one else is going to do the work. The no's are coming to like hit you harder because it's actually your thing. And yeah, sure. And I think it was one of the things that I was telling. I forget who I was telling this, but super early days, maybe a couple of years ago, I was just like, look, how I see it is in life, you need to, celebrate your wins and learn from your losses. But at the end of the day, until you've gotten to the point where you want to be, I don't think you can be too emotional. Don't get too high on your highs, not too low on your lows. Like, sure, celebrate the little things, but at the end of the day, like, I want to remain as consistent and even keel as possible, even if I get, a $500,000 contract tomorrow or 1,000 no's tomorrow. I want to be obviously I'll be happy, maybe go out for a beer or whatever, but I want to be in a similar spot because again, I'm not where I want to be yet. And I think that's the biggest thing, man, is not getting too high on the highs or low on the lows.
Failure comes with the territory. And the when you're saying this, the thing that comes to mind is like the Robert Greene, my guy. He always talks about like after you achieve the thing, like that's the pivotal point where like if you just then rest on your laurels, like
Yeah, you're
then
gonna
then you
yeah,
really are gonna fail. Like that is like the toughest part. Is like you start believing your own hype, and it might be because you worked really hard, but there's also some luck involved, and so like you start having the sense of like self-worth where you're thinking like I'm indestructible, but like that's when you're most vulnerable, right? And so yeah, it's like it doesn't matter. You just got to fucking keeping yourself humble and keep reminding yourself about the humility aspect of it, because you know how hard it is to be successful in anything. Like, you know what it takes, you know what the luck involved, like having all these things needing to align, that once they do, like, you haven't fucking made it. You just like, you've made it in that moment, and now you
yeah,
gotta, to repeat it, it's gonna be just as fucking hard.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy, man. It's a crazy game of life, but it's fun.
Yep. Uh, I think that's a good place to wrap. We're at the 1 hour exact mark.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if we'd have Mike pop in the bottom corner here, but no signs. So yeah, we're still We're still looking for Mike Press. If anyone's
We're
seen
putting
it,
the APB out for Mike. Yeah, I hope he's okay. I do.
he didn't hit you back.
Nope.
Um, cool. Well, yeah, bro. Episode 40. I mean, yo, we could have got discouraged after 2. We're still rolling. So, um,
Good
yeah,
point.
man. Let's move to 41, 50, and keep it rolling. But
Wait, I just want to say one last thing, which is I'm proud. I'm proud of you and I'm proud of me that we got to fucking 40. I mean, that's we didn't give up. We talked about not giving up. I've wanted to give up multiple times
for
along the
sure.
way,
Yeah,
but we haven't yet.
for sure.
So 40 is an accomplishment. We should be proud of that.
Yeah, to me, I want to get to 100, man. I want to get to 100 and see what happens from there. I think, yeah, one will hit, and then we'll be in a different place. For now, we just keep rolling. We keep moving with the punches, keep getting hit, but that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Put On Podcast. Make sure to follow us wherever you listen and across socials at the Put On Pod, and let us know who or what we should be putting you on to next.